the frustration I have with them is the frustration I have with all of right-wing media. It seems like they know how to do comedy for their base,
right?
But they don't get how to expand beyond that.
This is the Talk Down.
I was there for 2 years, wrote a lot of sketches. I love doing the weekly news segment. I would have always liked to see them, and I would like this in all of right-wing media. It seems like the people in charge, they all want to do comedy, and they just don't get how to do it. They do it okay on some things. They get it okay.
They want to use it.
But it's always like, it reminded me of what you were saying about Adam Ford. It's like they want to be the Hannity, or like, I always think of like a Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
Where he was very message driven.
I like use Rush Limbaugh because he's more clever. I think Rush Limbaugh actually understands comedy.
Well, hold on. This is what I would say about him. He gets how to be sort of funny and entertaining.
Right.
But it's not in a way that's going to be broadly comedic to the whole country. It's very message driven. It appeals to the base. You know, it reminds me of like the...
It's Crowder too. Crowder has that too, I think.
But this is all of what right-wing media does. It's always like a Crowder.
It has to be a
or
preacher.
An Alex Stein.
Yeah, it has to be a message.
Or, you know, it's always someone who is only popular with right-wing social media. It's never people that are just broadly successful in comedy as sketch writers, as monologue writers, as comedians, as comic performers. That's what the left has always done. And even if you can argue that some of those shows have lost their way, or, you know, a lot of people on the right like to complain they've become too political, like Colbert or Kimmel. Colbert and Kimmel, even if you don't like them now, they're accomplished, funny comedians. They have a body of work that is undeniably funny to everybody. And the right always seems to just pick.
I know. The right's starting point
they always pick
is
failed
where they are
comedians.
now.
Yes, exactly. The right starts where the left sort of fell to, and they'll criticize the left, but then I don't see them grow beyond that very much. Yeah. So I very much wanted to write. You know, I like writing sketches that have a conservative point of view, but hopefully have strong enough jokes that they're funny to everybody.
Right.
I very much would have liked to, you know, see them or any right-wing media work into developing a more broadly appealing late night style comedy show that puts comedy first, and kind of the politics is there, but it's, you know, it's secondary to just the comedy of it.
Yeah.
I was having a good time writing, you know, sketches there. They came up with this other project that they wanted to work on for a while, and I said, I don't mind working on this for a while, but I don't want to be, if the whole B becomes this project, that's not really, you know, my thing. And so for a while they were doing both sketches and the podcast. And then around October or so, they decided they wanted to stop doing weekly news, which was my favorite thing to write. So then I was just writing sketches. Before I left, the last 4 consecutive videos that I worked on, it was the Biden Western, it was Biden's Price is Rising. There was one called like Woke Librarian. And then there was a sketch that I helped punch up and co-directed, but I didn't write it, which was the grandpa gets placed in the Senate.
Okay.
These 4 videos in a row all did extremely well. I think they're all above 800,000 views. And after those 4 videos, I got pulled into Kyle's office before even the last one was released.
Yeah.
And they just said, you know, you're being laid off.
Yeah.
So that's
like a pattern.
It's just
because I don't think I could have been at more of a peak when they let me go. Like we had just done the Musk interview. I had an amazing year for YouTube, a first year of YouTube content. I mean, like introducing all these different kinds of aspects of what the B could be. I mean, I know it was a lot of it was potential based, but like.
And in the time since then, and like it's now been like 6.5 months or since then, they've released like 40 videos, and like 2 of them have surpassed those last 4 consecutive ones. And one of my videos is now their top viewed video of all time. But it's just weird because they laid off Chandler around the same time, and it's like you were like the most popular part of the podcast, and they get rid of you. Chandler starred in the Californians Moved to Texas, their like most popular miniseries.
Right.
They get laid off, and then I write their most popular sketch of all time. They get laid off.
You would get the
just,
sense that they don't actually want to succeed in any other area but headlines.
I don't want to go that far.
No, that's the sense I would get. No,
like they're free to do what they want. It's just,
right.
It's frustrating.
That's the sense I would get.
The frustration I have with them is the frustration I have with all of right-wing media. It seems like they know how to do comedy for their base,
right?
But they don't get how to expand beyond that. And I have the experience where it's like, hey, I this is what I do. This is what I write. This is what I perform. And you know,
well, yeah, it's a frustrating dichotomy, and it frustrates me when I watch comedy on, say, like HBO or. You know, like I've been watching Hacks right now, which is like a really left-wing show. It's definitely parts where it does get preachy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about a super woke leftist liberal Hollywood girl with this old comedian, and she's definitely preaching to her throughout the show and like trying to convert her, and it's working, and it's annoying. It's like, okay, come on, like this doesn't feel real. But you can tell that most of these writers, even on the left, there's one thing I respect about some of the people on the left is that they still hold the craft above their message.
Yes, yeah.
Not all. Obviously, there's some. It's always smells bad. You can always smell it when you're getting preached to. And I think that they have more integrity about their work, and so they are able to achieve things that are very genuine. And if preaching is always going to be the number one thing we have to do, it's always going to be some form of propaganda. If that's always the above all be all, and that was what we were told at the Babylon Bee was basically that we were given the directive. Everything has to be a right-wing talking point that I can't remember the exact words, but the words were something like I remember Kyle sent it out. But it has to be an argument for make a case for something right-wing. It has to be a rah, rah, rah.
But I think that's part of that's their goal, their desire. And throughout all of right-wing media, I think what drives that also, all of these right-wing media companies, they evolved a lot out of social media. So their only metric is, did this get a lot of clicks on right-wing social media?
Right.
Within the echo chamber on right-wing media, did lots of people like this and watch it?
Right.
And again, if you go back to how the left started, it's like SNL didn't start as the Democrat comedy hour. The Daily Show didn't start out as the left-wing news. It was just funny to everybody. And you can work that messaging in. Like when I go out and do stand-up for crowds that are just mixed across the political spectrum, I always work in that I'm a Christian. I always work in that I'm conservative. But you have enough other content, that it's funny to everybody. And I don't think anyone in right-wing media has figured out how to do that, successfully on a larger scale.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if that's what they want to do, that's fine. That's what they want to do. I think my frustration coming out, especially like I mentioned, like when I tell people Babylon Bee versus when I tell people Daily Wire, the perception of the Babylon Bee is like, they're that comedy website.
Yes,
There's a lot of people that just think it's a comedy website.
And a lot of people will see their headlines.
And I always thought the Babylon Bee could be a comedy brand, a strong comedy brand, just like National Lampoon or something. You could slap it on all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And people just associate it with funny. And the power that they would have if they could go down that road. But there's there's an insularity that happens a lot on the right wing stuff, and fear of experimentation. I think that I was always trying to push for, I think, yes, do your bread and butter, do your rah, get the right going stuff, but can come up with like a percentage of leeway to where you can try some other things.
Yeah.
Stuff's going to fail. Some videos are going to fail. But that was always for me. That was the biggest contention for me, is like, I me when I was there, I was doing so many different things at one time.
Yeah.
And that was always my vision. Oh man, that was a good video. You should check out our channel for more great videos from the Talk Down, and go to thetalkdown.com and maybe become a subscriber or something.
If you like being talked down to, subscribe to the Talk Down. Do it. Do it.